TitleMatchNetwork.com.
You were told how long you're going to have the championship for. Were you shocked, like how far ahead everything was like planned out and everything?
Oh yes, yeah. But I've also found out in that day and era they did do that. They did plan, pretty much 3 months out at least. But this was a deal planned out a whole year in advance.
Right.
This was like what? I said you're not leaving any room for error during that. He said this is the date you win it, this is the date you lose it, and here it is. It's on the calendar. It happened that way. So it's like amazing, for almost a year in advance.
Right.
Nothing's
Nothing's done like that today.
Oh, every 3 or 4 days they're changing something here. You could not plan anything more than what 2-3 weeks ahead now, because of injuries, because of people's personalities, because of storylines, because of all these goofy things.
Right. Did you feel a lot of pressure when you came in that if you didn't get over, they wouldn't give you the belt at all?
Pressure prior to receiving the belt?
Yeah, after they told you.
No, because I was already there in '75. See, this was back around '77, so I was already there, and I knew how over I was, and how I just came in there, and it was just like magic. It hooked up with the fans on the East Coast, so I had no problem at all.
You knew it would work.
Oh yeah. The deal on Bruno. This was such a big deal that when, and of course I got a lot of juice in that match because I felt that I owed that to Bruno. The guy's stepping aside now, and I'm going to get a lot. It wasn't required at all. No one told me. Skolin was the guy running the show, but I said I'm going to get this stuff for Bruno. So I did a pretty good job of myself, and it was so bizarre, man. When this thing went down, I got the win on Bruno and put my feet up on top of those ropes, and bleeding profusely, and pinned Bruno. The refs down there, I got my feet on the ropes, man. 1, 2, 3, and I rolled over, and the people, they heard that 3 deal, and they knew that, oh, this is real. And I got up, and when they saw the ref raise my hand, here comes the beer, and here comes the, and here comes the rumble, man, from the fans, like, and it was like total chaos, man. And the photographer George Napolitano, the longtime photo guy, my real good friend of mine, I smartened George up that night. I went down from New York to Baltimore with George. And George, we're going to do a deal tonight. You're going to get the exclusive photos. He said, I don't believe you. Yeah, you what? Bring your camera. And so I positioned George. When I got that belt, I said, George, I told him beforehand, when I get that belt, I got to document this thing. I got to have that belt up there. So George got some great shots with the belt, the blood, and all that. The skull looked like what happened. Well, man, the crap hit the fan when he handed me that belt, and they knew this deal had just gone down. And man, they closed in the marks. The fans closed in all past the cops. And man, I had to whirlwind this belt to get out of the ring onto the floor to get back to the locker room. I was whacking people, and I was getting kicked and spit on and punched, beer. And, by the time I got back, somebody peed in a cup. And I got that. Urine. And I got all the blood on me and the beer and all the spit and the people, people cut me off, and had to do this helicopter deal to get back to the locker room, And man, it was like this thing was real to these folks. That was a big deal, especially cheating and getting away with it. It was a big deal. So, I got back there and I said, man, I took a quick shower, undid the deal, showered up, and Bruno, I went by Bruno's locker deal, had a little separate area there. And I said, Bruno, thanks, man. I said, I'd like to talk to you, but I need to get out of this building. He said, yes, you do. We were like the 4th match, And the reason they started putting the main event on early, for some of you fans who may not know that, was because when Pedro Morales was the champion, Puerto Rican fans, man, You know, if you're the last match and you get some color up there on Pedro Morales, the champion, and you got a house full of Puerto Ricans, you're in trouble. See, can't get out of the building. And that's what happened to my friend Blackjack Mulligan in Boston when he was wrestling Pedro Morales. On the apron, here comes a Puerto Rican with a butcher knife, cuts Blackjack Mulligan from the knee to the hip, carved him open. 40 some stitches, legit. So then they said, we got to do something to protect these guys, protect the heels. So they started putting main event on third and fourth matches so the heels could get out of the building. So that was the deal of that, you know. And so, the Bruno deal was so unbelievable. And the guy's supposed to pull the house lights, you know, when the matches were over. So the guy pulling the house lights was so into this that he forgot to turn the house lights on. So it was dark, you know, that old couple ring lights above the ring, you know, and the dark, and all the fans screaming, man. It was like a writing deal. The guy didn't turn the lights on. It was like, you know, it was chaos. Pandemonium. There's the word pandemonium. These people believe this deal. You know, they worship Bruno, you know. And so that was a big deal on my memory on that deal, you know.
From the way you've been talking, it seems that Bruno was very supportive of you winning the championship from him.
Oh, yes.
He wasn't bitter enough, and he had no problems.
Had no problem, no. Because, you know, look at my gimmick. You know, I mean, the physique deal, the rap, and I'd drawn with him when I first came in. Everything was sell out, you know. And Bruno felt, well, here's a good representative. You know, Bruno had no problem, no.
Right. After the title change, did you feel a lot of pressure during your run to sustain Bruno's big houses?
I didn't feel the pressure because it happened. The big houses just were there. Because I think, of course, Bruno, you know, legit living legend deal. You know, here's legit living legend deal, this guy, you know. And that the people were so into him. And then the ethnic Italian beloved Italian Bruno, and here comes the 22-inch python in your face, and this was a dream match, man. This thing drew right from the get-go. Everything was big business all over, so I didn't even have time to worry about it. It was going to draw.
Right.
It just took off, you know.
What are your memories of your series of matches with Dusty Rhodes?
Oh, great! Here was pure magic, and I will say one thing on the return match. This is very important. After I took the belt from Bruno in Baltimore, a return match back in the Garden, of course, those days, obviously, no internet, no cell phones, no nothing, magazines, you know, the Western, you know, magazines and everything. So these fans didn't even know what was happening. Well, brother, my return match back in the Garden, I walk up there with a belt on. The main event was supposed to be Bruno versus George Steele for the title belt. I was scheduled to wrestle Gorilla Monsoon. Well, the fans in New York didn't know about the deal in Baltimore. I walk out of the locker room and get in that ring wearing the belt. The place freaked out. They freaked out, man. The guy grabs the microphone. Superstar Billy Graham beat Bruno Sammartino for the WWW. Too many W's. WWWF championship. And they freaked out, man. They freaked out. And then here comes Bruno, brother, coming out of the locker room, running into that ring, man. I told him beforehand, brother, when you hit that ring, you start wailing away on me, you know. He hits that ring and pandemonium, people jump to their feet. We had to yell at each other to talk to each other, to hear each other. There's so much noise. And a lot of old timers said they'd never seen anything like that. That kind of pandemonium. When they came out there and they didn't know Bruno lost the belt, and he came out there. It was a hot deal. It was hot, you know.
What do you remember of your series matches with Mil Mascaras?
Horrible. Dusty Rhodes, as you just asked me, was magic. He would come out there and dance around and do his little goofy stuff. His promos, we had magic there. Each of us cut a promo, talk to people in the building, making people laugh, making people have a good time. It was magic. It was easy. It was flawless with Dusty. Mil Mascaras was the only challenger to never do a job for any champion. I had 2 matches with him back to back before I lost to Backlund. And they had the finishes had to be okayed by Mil Mascaras. I said, Vince, I'm the champion here. Yeah, but Mil Mascaras, the Mexicans, the Puerto Ricans, they sold out. Yeah, of course. Mascaras in the Garden, it was a big deal, so it sold out. But he said, he's building. Again, do me a favor. Just work with Mascaras. I said, okay, I'll just work. So they were horrible matches. The guy would not sell. He refused to sell. And also, how can you see a guy hurt if he has a mask covering his face? You can't see expressions.
Especially no TV.
Well, no TV. You got a mask. You're hurt. Oh, God, facial. Here's Mascaras with a mask, man. You didn't know if the guy was hurt or not. He would never sell anything. He would later. He would. Oh my God. He would never sell. And speaking of a mask, the most bizarre thing I ever saw was the Mexicans in Los Angeles sports arena blading themselves with a mask on. A mask. The medics, the Mexicans would stick the blade in the white mask, and here would be some blood. And the mask soaked it up. You didn't see blood right here. They bladed with a mask on. So it was just so bizarre because you couldn't see a man's emotions. And he would not sell. Horrible sell. And he was like a peacock. Had the worst reputation because he would not sell. And so it was a nightmare wrestling.
Are you surprised they didn't bring in another Mexican to replace him, since maybe someone easier to work with than him?
No.
It had to be him?
No, because he had the name.
Right.
And he was also all over the magazine, just like I was at the time. Right. So,
as a champion, did you socialize after shows with celebrities?
No, I was a loner. Went out, traveled alone, ate alone. And of course, I have my future wife, Valerie, with me a lot. And so I was just a loner,
You have told a story in the past about Bruno suggesting you fake a knee injury going into your match with Backlund. He claims that story is false. Is that true?
Oh, that story. I have claimed it false?
No, Bruno says it's false.
Oh, no, it's true. Yeah, because he at the Spectrum, when I told him that night, 2 nights before the Garden, to Backlund, he said, listen, let's work a knee injury here. So you go into the match. Maybe Bruno forgot about it. The guy's wrestled 1 million people.
Right.
That could happen. But he gave me the idea. He said, let's during our match out here, let's do something to hurt your knee. And I'll go to work on your knee, and then I'll go to work on something else. So the boys, we were swerving the boys too, so the wrestlers would think that my knees really hurt, see? And so after we did that, took a big bump into the cage. Bruno started kicking my knee, and I said, no, buzzed the referee. So Bruno started working the other side, so the boys thought it was real because, went away from the injury, And so when I got into Madison Square Garden that next Monday, I walked in limping. And the old man saw me walking in limping. So he knew right away. Senior picked up right away, called Gorilla Monsoon over it. I said, okay, let's tape up Billy's knee. I said, Vince, I blew my knee out in that cage match with Bruno Saturday night, man. I can't limp like this. I was going to limp in the ring like that. So he had Gorilla. I got up on a table, had Gorilla tape my knee. So it was like a cast, And he told Backlund, first move you make is the Billy's knee.
He knew what's going on.
Yeah. He knew what was going on. And so sure enough, and I as soon as I got in the ring, I started limping, but here came back. Took the knee out. So that's a true story. Bruno could have forgotten.
Right. Was it difficult at all mentally when you lost the championship?
Yes, it was a big letdown for me, and a lot of the wrestlers said that I took it too seriously. But the reason I took it seriously was, first of all, Backlund obviously was not the guy to give it to. You know, if I was to give it to Terry Funk, well, I would have gladly given the thing to Terry Funk, or, you know, guys like that. But since Backlund was not the guy, you know, I felt like, and here I am moving, boy, you know, babyface time. Here's my real deal as a babyface, you know, this thing is really turning, that I was pretty much devastated by having to turn it over, pass the torch. And everyone said, man, you're taking the thing too seriously. But I said, wait a minute, brother. This is not Shreveport, Louisiana.
Right.
This is not Austin, Texas. This is New York City and Madison Square Garden. This is a big deal here. This is a very big deal. You know, this could be a 5-year run type deal. You know, this is a Tampa, with all due respect to the fans of Tampa. So that's why I took it serious. You know, it was and I knew it was a once in a lifetime shot.
Right. What are your memories of the angle in which you broke the belt?
Oh, it actually backfired on Backlund, because when he started crying, when that belt, I ripped up that belt, gimmicked the belt all up, tried to rip it apart. He started crying and crying, and when that thing hit the air in New York, man, people turned on him. Cry, baby. You know, New York, you're gonna cry, you know, over your belt. You're not gonna cry. You gotta get pissed off and go take the guy out. You know, but Vince had him crying and stuff, acting like a child. The fans, cry, baby. Howdy doody, he's a cry, baby. It's kind of sad, really. So, but it worked. It was, you know, the fans, you know, they bought into it. You know.
Were you disappointed with the run with him?
No, I wasn't even paying attention because of all the drugs.
Do you think Vince was disappointed?
Oh, not really, because we were still drawing money.
Right.
Yeah, there was still some money to be drawn, you know, despite the drugs.
TitleMatchNetwork.com